here at Cape Henry. So we're no longer in the Chesapeake. We are now in the Atlantic, and it's blowing and rolling. Got underway a little after 9 o'clock this morning, and I had to play with a couple of tugboats with loose barges in tow in a roly-blowy sea. So I just kind of, I hove to for a little while, and then I tacked back and forth a couple of times and jibed once and what have you, trying to let those guys, because they were having a hard time. And I was kind of between a rock and a hard spot, being between them and the shoreline. So I just tried to do the best I could to stay out of their way. And when they finally passed, I was able to move. So that was about a half hour, 40 minutes of just bebopping around in the swell. But now we are out of the Chesapeake, into the Atlantic once again, rounding Cape Henry, about to go down Virginia Beach. And once again, we've got Georgia on our mind. I'm planning to do this leg of the trip non-stop. So we're looking at 4 to 5 days. Touch wood, we should be there. 4 to 5 more days on our 9-day, 6-hour journey from Maine to Georgia. And it's been a little over a month now since I left Maine. Anyway, we're going. I'm going to make a slight turn here. We're going to work our way around. We're going to end up being on a broad reach, I think, most of the day and into the night. Talk to you again in a bit. Good morning. It is 8:25 on Sunday the 20th of October 2024, and we've been underway almost 24 hours. Last night was pretty rolly. They're calling them 6 to 10s out there, and I believe every inch of it. And we had pretty good wind. I carried the mainsail, full main and full jib, until like 2 o'clock this morning, and we were making some speed. We were doing 7-8 knots. But then it was getting to the point where the wind was coming around enough that I ended up, to be able to keep the jib from flogging, I pulled the main down. And since then we've been basically on a dead run. Whoa, dead run. I'm trying to keep a broad reach going, broad reach to a dead run, because I haven't gone and pulled the jib out or anything. So we're tacking downwind, as they say. Gives us a little extra speed. Right now we're doing 6 knots, straight up 6 knots. And in about 45 minutes to an hour, I'll be at the buoy at Diamond Shoal at Cape Hatteras. and we will jibe her over and change our course and continue on down the Outer Banks. Looking forward to it, because then I think the seas are going to calm down a little bit for us, because we will be in the lee of the Outer Banks, or at least eventually we will be, and hopefully the ride will get much nicer. Saw one ship last night and one sailboat this morning, and that poor guy, I don't know, he was managing, but he was zigging and zagging all over the place. He had full sail out, which, okay, that's fine. And we crossed paths. He was heading more not north, but I was heading southwest, he was heading southeast. So we crossed in that kind of a configuration. Had a brief "how you doing?" and away we continued on. So it's been a pretty good trip so far. I'm kind of liking it. Skookum's doing a great job. The sails, they haven't come apart yet, so I built them, so hopefully they won't. We're doing well. It looks like it's going to be a nice day. The winds are supposed to ease, and the seas are supposed to ease, and hopefully we'll make it this next 24 hours. We'll have the Outer Banks behind us, and we'll be on our way to South Carolina. Come down below, it's getting a little wet out there. But as you can see, we're about 20 miles from Cape Lookout Shoals. Depending on whether we're climbing a wave or surfing down the backside of it. You can see we're doing 4.5, 6. I've seen 7 knots. Whoops, let's bring that back up. Since we got underway yesterday, we're averaging 6 knots. So that's pretty good. Can't tell, is that focused or not? Yeah, I think maybe. Anyway, it has been rough today. I had a shadow for quite a while. This morning, when the sun came up, there were 2 sailboats within sight. One of them we walked off and left. The other one, we ran neck and neck with him for most of the day. And here about 2 hours ago, I decided, I don't want to be this close to somebody in the dark. So it was about time to reef the jib down anyway, because Raymond out there, the autopilot, was having a hard time keeping up with things. So I reefed the jib down. So we're running a little under 100% probably, and no Maine. And you saw just a second ago what we're making for speed. It makes it comfortable down below here. I'm not hanging on for dear life and things flying all over the place, but occasionally we get a side pop from one of the waves, and you can just hear the water going all over the boat. And then it sends the autopilot into, oh my gosh, where's the course and all of that stuff. But it doesn't take it long, and it picks it back up. I kind of knew it was going to be rough coming around this part of the Outer Banks. Tonight, the winds are supposed to mellow a little bit. Right now, they're saying 15 gusts to 25. 6 to 8 foot seas, and I wouldn't doubt it if there's a 10-footer out there. I know I've seen at least a 10-footer or two out there. So it's pretty sporting, but not too bad. The boat's handling it well. We're reaching the broad reach, and we're making good time, so that's fine. Earlier, before I reefed, we were doing a good steady 7 knots. And she calmed down quite a bit once I reefed down, and, you know, we slowed up a little bit, and, you know, it's a little more comfortable down here in the cabin. Sun's about to go down. We'll make it to Lookout Point Shoal 10 o'clock tonight, I would venture. And probably about this time tomorrow, we should be making it over Frying Pan Shoal, and then we'll be clear of the Outer Banks and heading for South Carolina. Now, I caught a radio broadcast on the VHF here just a little while ago talking about another hurricane. Oh, it was an O name. I forget what they said the name of it was, but it's like, this is interesting. Hopefully it doesn't come up to interfere with this. So once I clear Frying Pan Shoal, I'm going to have to head in kind of close so I can get a good weather forecast for what's going on down in the tropics, see how far I end up going, whether I go all the way to Georgia or stop a little short. Is what it is. So anyway, end of day 2, and yeah, we're cruising right along, having a good time. And the third day of our trip from the Chesapeake to Brunswick, Georgia. The third leg of our 9-day and 6-hour trip from Maine to Georgia that we are more than a month into. And it's blowing. We've got a good solid 20 knots of wind out there. 5 to 8 foot seas. Just had a wave hit us a beam, cascaded over the companionway hatch, and came cascading down into the Cascade 36 that I'm sitting in. So that area of the boat's wet now. And the hatch was closed, so yeah, we've got to get a Dodger built on this thing, and well, we have a lot of things we need to do to this boat. A lot of things we've already done, a lot more to come. Oh, it was a pretty rolly night last night. I haven't stopped rolling since 2 days before I left the Chesapeake. Last 2 days at the anchorage were pretty rolly, and it's been a constant roll fest ever since. I've got the jib reef down to about half. The main is down completely, and we're broad reach to run. Raymond's holding about a 25-degree variance in his course back and forth. Yeah, let's call it 15 degrees either side of center. So, but in the rolls that we've got going on with a following sea, I don't know that I could do much better. So we're about 35 miles east of, and there's Raymond saying, hey, I can't hold the course. He'll get it back here in just a second. We're about 35 miles east of Frying Pan Shoal. Yep, see, told you he'd get it back. 35 miles east of Frying Pan Shoal. Hopefully we'll be past it before nightfall. I can either head straight south for a long way and try to clear it, or I'm just gonna roll up to within about 8 miles of it and then jibe to go around the tip of it. I don't really want to go out and set the whisker pole. Just don't really want to go up on the foredeck in this stuff if I don't absolutely have to, so I am tacking downwind, broad reach to broad reach, and we get a little more speed that way as well. But we're doing 5.5 knots with basically just half of the jib out. So that's fine. Any more than that, I had more than that out last night and it was really kind of uncomfortable. And it gets hard to stand. So, you know, we shortened up the sail, a little less strain on the boat, a little less strain on me, and the old man's getting tired. So the less strain I can put on me, the more I like it right now. Forecast says we're going to have this kind of weather probably for the next day or two anyway. So I don't anticipate any relief at all for a while. I'm thinking once I get around Frying Pan Shoal that I may just scoot straight west and head straight for Myrtle Beach or something like that, just to get into the lee of the land and maybe stop some of this rolling. I'm right on the outer edge of the Gulf Stream right now. The water is a beautiful blue, and I'm sure because I have a northeast wind blowing into a northeast flowing Gulf Stream, that is why it's so rolly out here. So nothing to it, or nothing for it but to do it. So we're gonna do that, and another 6 hours, 7 hours, we should be at least at Frying Pan Shoal. Hopefully I won't have to jibe and run down too far, but I'll say 8 hours from now I ought to be on the other side, touch wood, of Frying Pan Shoal. And I look forward to that, because then, as far as I'm concerned, that's the last obstacle. Other than that, it's a straight line or it could be a straight line to Brunswick. I'm going to head in closer to shore, ease up some of the roll, get me a little bit nicer ride, and I haven't seen a long-range forecast for it since I left Norfolk, and I heard on the VHF the other day that there's another hurricane out there doing something, so I want to see what's going on with it. So anyway, that's the report from Skookum Lady. Talk to you later. Well, 5:30 Monday afternoon, and we just rounded the Frying Pan Shoal. We took up a heading of 280 that'll put us over into the Myrtle Beach area in about 10 hours. I won't go all the way that way, but I wanted to do this to give the autopilot a break in the rolliness. Trying to get into the lee of the continent a little bit here and get these seas to lie down a little bit, and get away from the Gulf Stream. Gulf Stream going north, winds blowing out of the northeast, so blowing south. It's always a bumpy ride when you have that occurrence. So I figure if I get over close to the shoreline over around Myrtle Beach, seas will be easier on me, and the wind's still going to be out of the northeast, so that'll be no big deal. And I'll ride the coast the rest of the way down. Probably stay 5-10 miles offshore, stay within sight of land anyway, and that ought to give us a better ride than we've had for the last couple of days. So anyway, we finally made it around the Outer Banks and Frying Pan Shoal. So now it's just, let's cruise the beach all the way down to Georgia. It is 12 noon on Tuesday, the fourth day of our trip between Norfolk, the Chesapeake, and Brunswick, Georgia. Last night we rounded Frying Pan Shoal just before sundown, made our course over towards the Myrtle Beach area. Just to get into the lee of the land, out of the Gulf Stream and away from the Gulf Stream, and the roughness that was there because the Gulf Stream's going north and the winds are blowing south. And had a nice, calm, easy ride all the way in. This morning I was able to get cell service, so I was able to get a forecast of that hurricane down south that is just a tropical storm now and going to be a fish storm headed out. Not going to be a factor for me, thank goodness. And we've had a nice, easy deal with it. We're jibing downwind, or tacking downwind, as some people call it. Instead of rigging the pole and running straight downwind, let's pick up a little extra speed. So we're broad reaching and then jibing and broad reaching and zigging and zagging. We're making 5-ish knots, sometimes less, sometimes more, which is going to put us in Brunswick in about, well, this morning when I did the calculations at like 8 o'clock, it was saying 40 hours if things stay the same. Touch wood. So another 2 days, it'll be probably Friday morning I'll be getting into Brunswick, and we'll settle in and see what happens after that point. That's if things stay as they're going right now. It's much nicer. This is the calmest we've had since I got underway, and in spite of the fact that we got hit with a wave this morning and sent my coffee flying across the deck. With that one exception, it's been a marvelous day sailing so far. The weather, it's warm. I'm in a t-shirt. I'm perfectly comfortable. It's in the mid 60s, I guess, and it was clear blue most of the morning. We got a thin overcast over us right now. Batteries are at 82%. It's going to be an all-day charge, I think, to get those back up to 100%. I'm cooking with electric. The autopilot has not, well, it has all but not been shut off since I weighed anchor in the Chesapeake. A couple of times I've taken the helm just because, well, I want to steer the boat too. But for the most part, the autopilot's been running the whole time. I have no idea how old the batteries are in this boat. I've been noticing lately that they're not holding their charge quite as well as they did last year. So they may be getting tired. It may be time to think about that. But I've got this big electrical project coming up. To put in the electric motor. 400 amp hour 48 volt batteries are going to go in, and I'll probably get 2 if not 3 AGM 12 volt batteries as well. I am persuaded that if you really put a heavy shock load on a lithium-ion battery, the battery management system sometimes will shut the battery off. So I've decided I want to have a 12-volt bank for things like the anchor windlass. If it gets bogged down hauling the anchor up or something like that, which it has done, I'd rather it come off of a lead-acid battery as opposed to the lithium batteries. We'll charge that 12-volt system off of the 48-volt system, but everything in the boat's 12-volt anyway, so why have to buy all new radios and all of that sort of thing? So we're gonna set up a 12-volt bank for that, charged off of the 48-volt system that'll be charged with wind and solar, and the inverter will be 48-volt, so I can get 3 kilowatt. So I can run both the microwave and my coffee pot at the same time. So, but anyway, to this trip, things are going well. Another 2 days, and this trip will be in the history books. So, we'll talk more tonight when the sun's going down. Well, you want to know what fun is? Well, it's midday. Well, let me see here. Let me give you an exact time. It is 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. And I just crossed the channel that goes up into Savannah. And as I was coming up, the wind started dying. I threw the spinnaker out. I was still doing 4 knots until I was 1/10 of a mile from the channel. And then the wind, I can't even feel it. But luckily I had the spinnaker out, so I was able to cross the channel with just a puff. And as I was about 2/3 of the way across, the pilot boat comes roaring out, and I'm like, sorry guys, if I had a motor, I'd start it, but this is what I got. He's like, oh, no worries. We're just going out to get this ship. You'll be out of the way before we get back. And just as I cleared the channel, this guy comes up. So one of the busiest channels I've ever seen, obviously not as busy as New York, but a very busy place is Savannah. And I'm crossing the channel going up the river under spinnaker with such a light wind you can hardly feel it. But we did it, and we didn't really get in anybody's way. So I love sailing. I really do. So it's a little after 5 o'clock, and at least we're not becalmed anymore. But we're not going anywhere fast. Spinnaker carried me through the channel that heads to the river that goes up to Savannah. And I no sooner got out of the channel, I wasn't a quarter mile outside of the channel, and the wind stopped completely. Spinnaker hanging limp. So I pulled the spinnaker down because the roll had it starting to wrap around things. So I pulled the spinnaker down, and I started wondering whether I was going to drift back into the channel, but fortunately we didn't. And eventually it was like, is there a wind or isn't there a wind? So I knew it wasn't going to hold the spinnaker up. So I pulled the jib out and put it on the whisker pole. Now, one thing about the jib on this boat, I built a 130 for it. But the whisker pole is sized for a 100. So when I'm using the whisker pole with the jib, I have to furl it in a little bit until I get a new whisker pole, or two. I'll explain that in a minute. So anyway, I have the jib out on the pole. You'll hear it flogging back here. Maybe you can see it flogging back there a little bit. The main is still down because otherwise it would be slam, slam, slam. And there's just enough wind. We're doing between 0.8 and 1.4 knots. At least it's in the right direction. If I'm going 1/10 of a knot in the right direction, I'm a happy boy. Finally got in close enough, I was able to get a weather forecast, a wind forecast off the Windy app. And this is what I'm going to have here for the next 5 or 6 days. And the National Weather Service is saying 1 to 2 of sea and variable 5 knots or less, with a couple of little spots in there for the next 3 or 4 days, 4 or 5 days, where it will be 5 to 8 knots. I am 58 miles from the channel to go into Brunswick. How long is it going to take me to get there? So I'm going to leave things set as they are right now. I did take advantage. It's absolutely beautiful here. I did take advantage and stood out in the cockpit and took a nice bath, got some of the salt off. It's been so rough that I haven't wanted to do that. And today was just, yeah, let's get the salt off. Let's get a bath. So I feel much better. And we're just going to let it do what it does. Got just enough way on that Raymond can hold our course. We're going in the right direction. Tonight around 10 o'clock, the winds are supposed to start coming offshore. So coming out of the west, northwest, southwest, west. And it's going to be one of those times of the 5 to 8 knots. So it's supposed to be that at midnight, but it's supposed to start coming into that direction and everything after 10. So tonight, 10 or 11 o'clock, I'm going to come out, pull the main, and or at least as soon as the winds are blowing enough, I'll pull the main, take the jib off the pole, and see if we can get 2 or 3 knots out of this girl. And it's supposed to do that until sunrise, and then it's going to go back to what we've got right now. So I may try to give myself a little more sea room. Not to worry, I have no problem anchoring out here. It's not right where I'm standing right now. It's maybe 50 foot deep. If I was to, well, I was thinking when I got through the channel and the wind quit blowing, I was thinking, okay, I'm in 30 foot of water. If I start getting close to the channel, the anchor's going down. Big ships going back and forth through that channel. But even now, I can be within a mile of shore and be in 15 feet of water, 20 feet of water, and anchor. And it's such an easy swell. I'd be a lot more comfortable anchoring right over here than I was the last couple of days in the Chesapeake anchored up. So I'm not worrying about that. Not worried about running aground or whatever. But we'll see how many days it takes me to get to Brunswick from here. This is sailing. Tristan Jones, you can look him up, check out his books. But Tristan Jones said that sailing teaches patience. And in one of his books, he said that he would rather lose a leg than his patience. And some years later, he did lose a leg, but his patience was still intact. I have nothing to do but sail my boat and work on my boat. Take some pictures if the opportunity avails itself. So, life is good. Good morning. It is almost 10 o'clock on Thursday, the 24th of October, 2024. And we are 20 miles east of the channel into St. Simon's Bay, Brunswick, Georgia, our destination. So probably 28 miles from the anchorage. Last night, as forecast, the winds did pick up around 10 o'clock. I think I was pulling sail at like 9:30 to get ready for it. And at just about 10 o'clock, there started to be a little breeze. And we started to move under full main and jib, all plain sail. We couldn't hold a line though to Brunswick. Closest we could hold was to lead us offshore. So this morning at sunup, I just let her go all night, and with not any big concern. And this morning when I got up, I was 28 miles, 30 miles offshore, right abeam Brunswick. Just almost exactly east of Brunswick. So now, I came about, got some good sleep last night. I mean, I was up every hour checking things, but I got to sleep. I was on starboard tack, which is the tack that puts me into my bunk, doesn't throw me out of it, so I was happy. So, got up, came around. The winds are basically coming straight from Brunswick. So it's going to be a tack fest today. As soon as I started heading inland, I was heading back north again, and then an hour later I tacked, and I'm just crossing the straight line course to from this morning to Brunswick. So I'll go another hour, and then I'll tack, go back and go back. The forecast I saw last night said that today the winds were going to be northwest come northeast, and that's about what they are. I'm slowly getting to where I can almost hold a course for Brunswick, but not quite. So hopefully within a couple of hours they'll start to they'll start to veer, and I'll, on a tack, be able to hold a course for the channel. Whether I'll make it in today, I don't know. They're supposed to go light tonight and be light tomorrow morning. So if I can get anywhere close to the channel, I can anchor. And I mean, it's a nice out. When the winds go light and variable, especially that close to shore, there's not going to be much of a roll. So I'll anchor, and then in the morning, throw the dinghy in the water if I need to push. But tomorrow, I think the winds are supposed to be northwest again, 5 to 10, something like, or northeast, excuse me, 5 to 10. And if that's the case, then I'll just wait until the winds pick up, and then I'll sail in. Once I get closer in, I'll get an updated forecast, and we'll see what we get. But look at me, shorts, t-shirt, not a care in the world, not a cloud in the sky. Got maybe a 2-foot sea, and we're close hauled, starboard tack. Raymond's got the helm, and I'm drinking coffee. Yeah, I broke my mug in the Gulf Stream. But I'm having coffee. It doesn't get much better than this. I can think of a couple of things that would make it nicer, but this is what we got for now. He must have liked the music or something. Got myself a little visitor. Just flew in the companionway. You trying to figure out how to get back out? Just checking out my boat. You're gonna get yourself lost up in that mess. Oh, you don't want to get up in there. Okay. Let me grab you so you can get you out, okay? No, let me come over here. Let me get you out of here. Yeah. Come on. Come on. I'm not going to mess with you. Go ahead. All right. Time to get him out. Where'd you go? There he goes. He's back out. Thanks for the visit. I appreciate it. Always nice to have a visitor. Yeah, you're a lot of fun. Take a rest. You can ride with me as long as you want. I'll be down below, okay? All right. You have a nice time. Thank you. It is 10:19 at night. I've got about 2 miles to go to where I have selected to anchor for the night. I'm making between 1.5 knots and 2 knots on a dead run with a 6-knot wind, pushing a 1.5 knots adverse current. Oh, I am not going to make it into my final anchorage tonight. I'm going to anchor just north of the Brunswick River Channel. And if I can make it there before the wind dies, which is forecast to happen at any moment, I'll be in about 18 feet of water, still outside of, out in the Atlantic, basically, about a mile outside. In about 18 feet of water. Right now I'm in 25, 30 feet of water. So if the wind was to die right now, I am north of the buoy. I'm north of the channel, rather. I'm north of the 1 and 2 buoys by about a quarter mile. So if the wind was to die right now, I'd just anchor where I am. It is flat out, just a little slight motion, not a lot. And the winds are supposed to die down completely and then stay that way for like 2 days. So the plan is I'm going to go until no later than midnight. Wherever I am at midnight, I'm anchoring. You know, the spot I've picked out in 18 feet of water or midnight, whichever occurs first, that's where I'm anchoring. I'll drop the sail and tie things up. In the morning, the current reversal doesn't happen until about 10:30. I'll get a fair current going up the channel. So when I get up in the morning, I'm going to inflate my dinghy and put it all together, put the motor on it, hip up, and when the current starts going in the good direction, we're going to push her. We haven't used the motor to push this boat since I left 700 Acre Island in Maine over a month ago. The dinghy has been rolled up and on deck. And for the last 6 miles to my final anchorage, if I have to push it, well, that's just the way it is. At least I'm not going to be out in front in my dinghy rowing to pull myself in. That's why we have the auxiliary motors in these things these days, is to prevent you from having to row with a sculling oar or pull yourself with your dinghy. So the big project for the next couple of months, after a weekend of rest and spending some time with my sister, is going to be getting the electric motor installed in this boat. Got to get anything associated with diesel off of it, get the engine room cleaned up, painted, made all pretty, and then I can get the electric motor installed. So that is the big project for this winter, is to get that done. If I can get a Dodger built at the same time, I'll get both of those done. Those two things are my big projects for this winter. I'd like to have them done so that I can, in time enough, so that I can head up to D.C. I was in D.C. photographing January 6, 2021. I'd like to be in D.C. photographing January 6, 2025. If I can't make it up there by then, at least be up there for the inauguration on January 20th. So that's the goal. Hopefully it'll all work out. Touch wood. But I'm going to just chill out. I'm hoping the wind will let me get all the way into where I want to get, so I'm only in 18 feet of water when I anchor. But like I said, 18 feet of water or midnight, whichever occurs first, that's when I'm stopping. So we'll talk to you in the morning, show you where I ended up then. So that's how close I am to the channel. And this is how far offshore I am. Just like a mill pond. No wind. It's time to put that together, put the motor on it, and start pushing the last 8 miles of this voyage. Well, good morning. 11 o'clock on Friday, and we're pushing with the dinghy, underway, heading up the Brunswick. Well, we're just outside we're outside the green side of the Brunswick River Channel, headed for our anchorage. I figure I'll be there 2:30, something like that. We're catching just the turn of the current here, so there's not much help right now. I'm doing almost 3 knots. At max flow of an inward current, it's only like 0.6 knots, 0.57 knots, I think is what it said. And there goes a couple of people out to go fishing. On the outbound current, it gets up to almost 2 knots because you have the river current and the tide as well. Now the tide is bucking the river current, so you don't get as much. But I will take anything to help. It was a little more difficult than anticipated getting the dinghy put together. As a matter of fact, the aluminum floor for it is not completely together. So I'll fix that when I get in. I bought this dinghy with the intention of being able to roll it up, not take up a lot of space on deck. Just unroll it, inflate it, use it, bingo, bango, bongo, and Irving, and you're ready to go. Good in theory, not so good in practice. So I had thought this summer, running around with Liam, my grandson, on little adventures, that it'd be nice to have a hard bottom dinghy so we could beach the boat and do whatever, which you can't do with this one, or at least not in Maine. Definitely rip it. So before I leave St. Simon's Island to head towards the north again, I think I'll have, it'd be nice to have an aluminum bottom rib, but we'll see what the difference is in price between aluminum and fiberglass. If it's not too much, it'll be an aluminum bottom. I think it'll last me longer. That will fit on the bow of this boat, and I'll rig the bow of this boat to accommodate the dinghy. Then it'll be easy up, easy out. Life will be much simpler. And I'm all about a simple life now. So, cruising along, we're heading in. I'll let you know when we're anchored. Have a good one. Well, it is Tuesday the 29th, about 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's a bit of a cloudy day here today. There was a chance of rain, but they've pulled that off of the forecast now, so I guess we're just going to get clouds and a little bit of wind. I'm anchored here at the spot where I normally anchor when I come to this area, here right next to the Morningstar Marina. St. Simon's right over there. And the Intercoastal Waterways right over there. Brunswick, my sister's house, is about 11 miles. So that's convenient. Dropped the hook here Friday at, I think it was 1:35 in the afternoon. And kind of chilled out all day Friday afternoon, and Saturday and Sunday was spent with my sister. Yesterday I drove down to Florida, where my residence is, to cast my vote. If you haven't voted, go do it. And remember, This vote is going to determine what your children and your grandchildren have to live with for the next good little while. So keep that in mind when you cast your vote. Today's going to be kind of an easy day. Tomorrow I've got several little projects that I want to take care of before I start the big disassembly of the engine and all of that stuff. So this week will be spent doing that type of thing, with the plan of getting all of those done this week, and then Monday morning next week I'm going to empty the lazarette and the sail locker and climb down in there and start taking things apart. But we're here, St. Simons, Brunswick area. The trip is done and in the books. We sailed from Bangor, Maine, all the way here. When I left Bangor, the fuel tank in the generator was full, the fuel tank on the dinghy was full, and my 5-gallon gas can was full. One of the first things I did once I dropped anchor and got secured was I filled up the generator and I filled up the dinghy gas can, and I still had a gallon of gas left. So that's Bangor, Maine, to St. Simons Island, Georgia, on 4 gallons of gasoline. Can't beat that. Well, you can, and hopefully next time I do this, I'll do it with 0 gallons of gasoline. So, once we get the wind generator going and the electric motor going and everything, that's the goal. Up and down the East Coast without burning dinosaurs. So we'll try to do some videos of the work we're going to do. I didn't do much of that last time because once I get into it, I want to focus on what I'm doing, not focus on videoing, but we'll see what we do this time. I've been doing all these recordings on my phone, which is not the most convenient thing to do, so I think I'm going to get a couple of GoPros or something so I can set them up, maybe make things a little nicer. We will see, but the trip is complete. Thanks for coming along. Sorry the videos were so long. We'll work on that too. But for now, we're here in St. Simons Island, Georgia, right here next to a little island called Lanier Island, Frederica River. The trip is done. See you next time.